Are you going on an Alaskan cruise soon? Well, then you need to watch this video all the way to the end because we got lots of tips for you.
And if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. We'd
That's
greatly
right.
appreciate that. So let's get started.
Right, so we went on the Norwegian Encore on a 7-day Alaskan cruise, and we
Obviously have pros and cons.
we had some
Always.
pros and cons, but
Yeah.
we have some things we want to share with you as well that we did not know about before going on an Alaskan cruise.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
I think we should start with the negatives first,
Okay.
and then we could go on to the positives.
Well, we went on the Norwegian Encore
Yep,
out of Seattle.
that's right.
So some of the things we didn't like about the cruise, and it had to basically go around the activities that they had
Mm-hmm.
planned. For one thing, they had like a crayon coloring thing, right? And
A
they
coloring.
a coloring activity, and we got there and they didn't have colors.
They didn't have
They
crayons.
didn't have crayons. They only had white. That's it.
For Sierra and I, because we got there about 10 minutes early. We got there
Yeah.
early, and when we got there, there was 4 crayons left in the box, and it was white, 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 or white. So we got to the coloring thing that they're having here, and we have these colors to choose from. White, 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 or white. Which color do you want, Sarah?
I think I'll have white.
I will also choose white. We walked over because we thought, well, they got kids area. So we walked down to the kids area. They didn't have crayons. We went to the person that was, in charge of the thing, the activity, and they had no more crayons anywhere. So get to the activities early, as well as they had also a activity that had a leather little satchel bag thing, and they also ran out of that. I got there just in time. I think there were like 20, maybe more people behind me, and they only had enough when I got to that point to get my activity. They only had maybe 5 left, so anybody after that, they were left out also. So bottom line, get to the activities that are on the ship early. I would say about 20 or 30 minutes early, just so that you secure whatever it is that they're doing.
A different color crayon.
So you don't have to use white to color on a white paper.
Yeah, and what we're saying in the video is it's not like over the top things for us.
Yeah.
It's just things that we kind of like disliked about just the little things is what I'm saying. It's like little details.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, Jolly went to a Latin dance activity.
Yep, a salsa dance.
And where they had it located on the ship, to me, can I say
it was a little crowded on stage.
All good? All right foot, middle. Just
where they did karaoke, but they were doing like all bands that come together.
Yeah, they were supposed to be on
all
the top
entertainment.
deck. Yeah.
They were supposed to be on the top deck, but they moved them into a small little
room. It was like a small little.
Very, very, very small, and it was very loud. And they all had the sheet.
They had the sheet music. They didn't know the words to the songs that they were singing, which was very
Right.
strange to me because
Right.
it wasn't karaoke. These were the onboard entertainment singers.
Yeah. Some of the activities, I mean,
was very odd.
with the exception of Choir of Man.
That was outstanding.
Most of the activities on there, including the magician, it almost felt like very low budget, I would
Yeah.
say. And that, by the way, funny to say,
Right.
was in the big auditorium where the Choir of Man takes place and the Beatles. They put 2 people in a big room like that,
Yeah.
but yet they squeezed all the other entertainers in a small room. The place was crowded. People were standing up. There was not
We
enough
left.
seats.
It was so loud.
And it was
like,
so loud, I thought I was
so
going to
loud.
get ear damage. We don't normally leave shows because we
No.
don't want to be the people that are spotted getting
Walking
up and walking out.
Yeah.
But
couldn't
we
sit
could have
through
done
it.
that in a couple activities that they had. I think, especially when you're doing an Alaskan cruise or due to weather, they might have to change it. You think they would have that on the back burner of exactly what they're going to have and do for backup situations. And for us, it didn't seem like they had it together in that aspect
Correct.
of where they were putting things. So as far as a whole type of things we didn't like, that's kind of like that in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Also, in the rooms, okay, on day 2 was the only day that we had really a rocky boat.
Yes. The
Most
second
of the cruise
day.
was just smooth sailing, no problems at all. The second day was kind of rocky. We didn't get sick or anything. We were pretty much fine with it. But a lot of people, they cancel a lot of activities
Yeah.
because of safety. They don't want people bouncing around and stuff like that. So if you're back at your stateroom, you really have nothing better to do. But maybe we had a veranda, so of course we had the views, which was nice. We were midship, so and when you get in that kind of weather, that's like the best place to be. You don't want to be towards the back or the front, or else you're going to be, doing one of these things. But in the rooms,
Oh, the TV?
the TV, I must have seen School of Rock 60 times.
Yeah, they play it on a loop.
It's just a loop. It's not like they have, like Disney. Disney actually had, like I was watching football. They actually had
yeah,
like
different
live
channels.
TV and different channels. But maybe it's because of the area, or maybe it's because they didn't want to spend the money to get any kind of satellite type of TV.
Oh no, they
But-
had football in different venues, like at the bars and stuff.
Yeah,
So they
well-
did have football, but in your stateroom.
In your stateroom, there's literally, it's just a loop of different movies or shows or anything like that. So I think that was kind of,
That was a negative,
I don't know. I meant,
or something we didn't want.
didn't really care for. What
Yeah.
else you got, John?
All right, let's get into money saving tips, which is helpful for everyone, right?
Yes.
All right, so with our Encore cruise, we had 2 free drink packages that was part of their free sail away package thing, whatever they had. And then they had also 2 dinners that were included, the specialty restaurants, for 2 nights for 2 people. Okay, now with the free drink package, this is how we save some money, because from what I was told is if all the adults in the room, if you got that free drink package, the 3rd or 4th person also has to have a drink package, which needs to be bought. Even though the first 2 were free, if they're in the room with you, they need to get one too. Sierra does not drink soda.
No.
So we decided we don't need it. Now, the little trick was that I didn't realize, but I asked questions, so I want to pass it along to you, is that if you are getting the free drink package, it's not all free. Because what they charge you at the time of us going on it was $152 per person
Mhm.
for gratuities. So you get charged, this is only for the 2 free ones, $304
Yep.
for a free drink package.
Yep.
So we opted out of the free drink package. So I called and I said, oh, well, can I just opt out of it so I don't have to pay the gratuity? Because we're not going to be drinking soda. They had,
Right.
what did they have to
They had
drink?
lemonade. They had hot chocolate, which is great, for an Alaskan cruise. I drink hot chocolate, so it was good for me. They had, I already said lemonade. They had
Fruit
kiwi.
punch.
You could mix them.
Different. They had different drinks
Unlimited that. I think they had tea, hot water for tea.
and lemons. So
I
they
think
had drinks.
they had some stuff. I mean, we got by fine without even drinking any soda. We ended up losing a little bit of pounds, but then we gained it back at the food. But
At the buffet.
we evened out a little bit. But I mean, we did fine without it. We thought it was just a little bit
Excessive.
too expensive.
So there is one money saving tip right there, that
Yeah.
if you opt out of the drink package, the free drink package, you will be saving, in our case, because it was a soda, $152
Yeah.
per person for the 2 free ones. And then, well, of course, the additional ones would be the full cost of the drink package plus the gratuities on top of that. So there's one money saver.
Yeah.
And how much were the sodas? The cans, $3.50, I
Yeah, I
think.
think they were like $3.50.
So if you do want a soda,
they do have them.
yeah, so $3.50 versus $152.
Drink one occasionally if you want.
yeah.
We didn't drink
We didn't
at all.
drink
We
one
didn't
at
drink not one soda, and that's amazing for me.
Another thing I want to mention is, in case you don't know, the room service, there is a $9.90. We didn't do that either, but there is a $9.95 $9.95 charge at the time that we went per meal that you get room service. So that's the charge that they charge you. So $10 per meal, not per time that they come down to your room. So if you get a meal, he gets a
Sierra,
meal.
me, yep.
That's $30 that they charge you just to get room service. So we opted out of that. We didn't do room service because that was an expensive trip anyway. But if you want to do it, just be aware there is a charge.
Yeah, and also as far as money is concerned, we had one of our excursions canceled on us, which
Yes.
was we
The
wanted,
Skagway. The
wanted
rail.
to do that so bad. So that just gives us another reason to go back.
Yeah.
Which we will. I will
Eventually.
say, I will say, with that being said, though, when they cancel that,
They
what
give
is
you
it?
a credit.
They give you a credit.
onboard credit.
Yeah, they'll give you a onboard credit. But I will say this: Jolly went down there after knowing that because it comes on your TV. You got a whole bunch of things on your TV that you could check your account and everything, which was pretty nice.
Very nice.
I will say that was good. So that's how we found out we had that much credit, or else we didn't know where that was going. But when she went down to guest services, they just gave it back to her in cash.
Yep. So
Right
you
there.
just go up there if a excursion is canceled, and they will pay you cash if you ask for it. You have to stand in a, I don't know, it wasn't a very long line.
No,
but
they were pretty efficient.
yeah, they were pretty good, and they give you the cash amount at the end of the cruise
Yeah,
because they
Yes.
want to make sure that if you charge anything on board, that's being used towards your purchases.
that's right.
So at the end of the cruise, like we went the night before. Was it the night before? Yeah.
Yeah.
We went the night before to down to guest services and got the cash back for the Skagway Railway tour, which is the one that was canceled.
All right, so let's go into the positives, and I'll start off with the positives right off the bat. I think their buffet was awesome.
That's right.
I
I
think-
thought it was really good too.
The
We're
only-
buffet people though. We
Yeah,
just
we are.
like simple
We are.
food.
Simple. Hamburgers, hot dogs, fries.
Steak.
And of course, they had everything there. And as far as the personnel in there, as far as taking your plates, as far as anything like that, was like top notch. Very good service.
Very.
They had every night was a special night, so they would add to the buffet. So it
Yeah.
could be tacos, could be steak, could be barbecue. I mean, they just had it all. We found
Seafood.
ourselves several times going to the buffet throughout this trip. And the only other suggestion I would have for you guys is to make sure you hit it at the right time. If you're going like peak hours, it's very, very difficult to find seats
Mm-hmm.
in there. And you might have to go on the outside seating.
Which was
if you
still
want,
nice.
Which
They-
is fine because they got heaters.
Yeah, they had heaters
Awesome.
out there, so you're not cold while you're eating outside.
Right. And the views are just
Beautiful.
fantastic. But that would be first off the buffet and the food and the service. Perfect.
What I want to say is we really, really enjoyed the shows as far as Choir of Man.
Yes.
And the Beatles. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we really enjoy the Beatles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and Sierra really liked Choir of Man.
Choir Man. If you guys go on the Encore, do not miss Choir Man.
That's right.
That was a very, very good show. And also, just a tip on that, if you do, which was kind of strange for us,
What?
you have to make reservations
Yes.
for a lot of things.
Yeah, but they were easy to do. I did the reservations for Choir of Man because I did my research before we got on the ship. But then while we were on the ship, we enjoyed it so much that we wanted to see it a second time, and we were able to.
Yeah, I was able to get on the app while we were eating, and Sierra and Jolly went up to the buffet, and I was sitting there. I got another showing, and I think also they have standby. So if they could
Yes.
fit you in there, if you cannot get a reservation, do yourself a favor. Go to if you go to both times,
Right?
whichever, and get in a standby, and you might be able to get in there on standby. But I don't think it's a show you should miss if you go to that.
Yeah.
If I could have won a third time, I would have went because it's enjoyable.
Yeah, and they also had on the kiosk in the hallways
Mm-hmm.
and the different decks, they have like little kiosk, and you can also try to get the reservations on that.
Yep.
on the Choir
Sure
of Man.
can.
And the Beatles, I really liked the fact that they had different stages of the Beatles.
Of the Beatles.
Yeah,
yes,
so they had
yes.
like
John Lennon.
Yeah,
John
they had...
Lennon. Yeah, on one of them, and he looked just like him. He sounded good. I mean, they all sounded good, and
Yeah.
everybody had a good time
Yep.
with it for sure.
But I wanted to say is that they had the different eras. So they had the
Yeah.
Beatles Revolution. They had the early years. They had, so every show were different songs for the
Yeah.
Beatles. They didn't just have the same old songs playing every time they were playing. They had different eras of the Beatles.
Yeah.
So that was very nice too. One more thing that we really enjoyed, or that I did, because I went with Sierra, Scott stayed back at the room, but at the glow party, they actually handed out like glow sticks, and they actually handed out these little like fun noodle things that were lit. So that was pretty cool that they actually handed stuff out for the glow party at night.
Okay, let's get into some tips for you guys.
All right, tip
So-
number 1 that I think is to bring a refillable cup. Now, we took our Universal Studios like refill cups. I'm sure people have different like Yetis or whatever. And that's what we use to have our drinks with us all the time. Since we didn't get the drink package, we just would go. We used the cups that they provided. We didn't put our cups there.
Yeah.
But we used the cups that they provided to fill our drinks with like lemonade or fruit punch or...
A lot of people do it.
Yeah,
A lot of
but
people
that's
do
a tip. Just bring
Yeah.
your own cups so that you can do that if you choose to do so.
it. The cups are like this small.
Yeah.
So just to let you know. So a lot of people were bringing Yetis and stuff like that to fill their drinks. Perfectly fine.
Another thing I researched and I couldn't really find, but then I found out they didn't have a problem with it, was door decorations.
Yeah.
So if you want to take door decorations, I mean, go ahead and take them. If they ask you to take them down, what's the worst? Just don't make sure they're not sticky. Obviously, they're magnets. So door decorations, in our case, they didn't say anything, and we saw a lot of people with the door decorations.
Yeah, that was fun to do.
And it's good to find your room. Easy.
Yeah,
Makes it a lot
very
easier to
easy.
find your room.
Yes, we normally get a room that's close to the staircase.
Yeah,
So we were only like 2 flights away from
from
food
the buffet.
or the top deck or anything like that. We were kind of staying right at that
Sweet
perfect
spot.
level for us in the middle of the ship, but we're easy to find because you go down the stairs and wrap around the corner and we're normally there. But believe you me, that's a long ship. And we got caught on the backside coming back to our cabin, and it was like, if we didn't have them door decorations, it's hard to find.
Yeah, it's hard to
For
find them.
sure. Here's another tip. Ice
Right.
cream.
Mm,
How can
everybody
you
loves
go
ice
without
cream.
ice cream?
I
Okay,
think
they
they
have
only had 2.
chocolate, vanilla, and swirl. Okay,
3 flavors.
and then they also have hand dip ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend going over to the counter and getting your hand dip ice cream. It was very good. All you gotta do is walk up and tell them what you want, and they have more flavors in the hand dip than they do soft serve.
That's right. And I also want to mention, when you are doing the hand dipped ice cream, just because the buffet is on 2 sides, right? They have the buffet going this way and the buffet going this way, which
Mhm.
are pretty much mirrored. It's like the same things
Yeah,
for the most part. They do have,
like the middle part's different. Like
Yeah.
your burgers are not going to be on the outside. Your burgers and fries typically are in the middle part all the time.
yeah, but what I wanted to say about the ice cream was, because one side doesn't have a certain flavor, I'm just going to say Rocky Road, then the other side might have Rocky Road. So if you're looking for a specific, the hand dipped ice cream, if you're looking for a specific flavor and you don't see the one you want on this side, just
Go to
walk
the other
around,
side. Yeah.
and it might be on the other side, because they did have different flavors
Yes,
on either side,
and they had hot fudge.
and caramel.
Oh, how can you go wrong? For sure, you got to get over there for that.
Something else was, there is no metal allowed on the free fall slide. Now, we found this out only because we thought it was very odd.
To see a naked man go down the slide.
Yeah, that there was a gentleman going down the slide in his underwear. Now, he wasn't
Yeah.
like obscene or anything. It was just like boxers. Not boxers.
No, them were like Speedos.
He was
man.
just wearing like briefs.
Yeah.
But we thought, what is wrong with this guy? He's just wearing his underwear going down the free fall slide, and that's the
Yeah.
one that goes straight down. We
No-
didn't get in the water. We didn't go on the slides. But I did some research, and there is absolutely
Zero tolerance to that.
no metal.
Zero.
So no jewelry, no rings. Before you go up to the slide, just want to make sure you know this.
Yeah.
No fasteners, the eyelets.
Zippers, anything.
Nothing. The eyelets in the men's bathing suits that have like the little tie, that is not allowed either. So make
Yeah.
sure that you have absolutely no metal shoulder straps. I mean, I don't know
Yeah, you can't.
How
go
much
any
I could
further than that.
emphasize
It's pretty much.
that they will
Yeah.
not let you on that slide. So if that's one of the things that you're really looking forward to is going on,
Think
the
about what to
free fall
pack.
slide.
Is all I'm saying. Think about what to pack.
that's right.
And it's one of them slides where you're almost going. It's almost like a loop,
Yeah, because
and people get stuck because. and keep in mind, the funny part about it is that day one when we went, day one,
yeah,
the weather is beautiful.
In Seattle.
For anything, but as you get closer to Alaska and British Columbia and all that stuff, the weather was changing. It was getting cold, but there are still people going in the swimming pool. There are still people, of course, in the hot tubs.
yeah, a lot of
And
people in the hot tubs.
There was this guy that went on a slide multiple times
Yeah,
in the weather. There wasn't too many people doing it. But
No.
the ones that were doing it, we've seen some people get turned away, and that's the reason. So make sure you keep that in mind when you pack, for
that's
sure.
right. So make sure you know that. Another thing is they do have weight limits for the go-karts as well as for the slide. Now, we didn't go on the slide, so we don't know what the weight limit is, but don't be embarrassed. From what I heard and what I researched, it either turns green or red. It doesn't say that you're 295 pounds. It'll just tell them that it's
Yes.
red if you're over or under the limit, because for that free fall slide, you have to be a certain weight so you don't get
Stop.
stuck.
Yeah.
They do have a trap door at the bottom, so if someone gets stuck, you can get out, obviously. But there are weight limits, so just be aware of that when you're going to go. And I don't think you'll be embarrassed because it either has red or green. It doesn't tell them how much you weigh.
They have multiple things that we didn't get to on this trip. I'm at multiple restaurants, like the 50s. They had a
Yeah,
50s
but that was an
area.
additional charge. That's why we
All
didn't
that's
do it.
additional. Yeah, we didn't really do any of that. But I'm just saying, you have the options if you want to try all that stuff. They have multiple things to do. If we were going to do the go-karts too. Day two, of course, they shut it down due to weather.
Yeah.
If it's raining or anything like that, because it is an outdoor activity, that's going to affect when the times that are open, that they
Yeah,
open anyway.
the laser
But
tag, anything.
laser
like
tag, any of that. But they have a lot of things. Of course, if we get back on that ship, we're probably going to do things that are different that we didn't do this time, other
Yeah.
than some of the shows that were great.
Yeah, we'll do
So-
like the go-kart. I'd like to do
Yeah.
the go-kart one. This is a very important tip, I think, because nobody in any of the videos that we watched told me that I could bring my National Parks Pass book
Oh,
to get
yes.
stamped. I can't
Yeah.
believe nobody mentioned that. Like, if you are going to Glacier Bay, specifically, if you're going on an Alaskan cruise and you're going to Glacier Bay, take your National Parks Pass book, because they have a ranger come on board and they can stamp your book for
Yeah.
you. Or actually, they have a stamp there and you stamp it yourself.
Hmm.
But I didn't have my book with me, but they did have little pieces of paper, so I
We
stamped the
stamped.
paper,
Yeah.
and then I could I'm going to staple it to my actual book. But that would have been nice if I would have known. Now they do sell merchandise, National Parks merchandise and National Parks pass books, but the line was super
Super long.
long, like really crazy long to
Yeah.
buy anything.
Yeah.
So if you do have one, bring it. If you don't, get there really early to the observation deck so that you could purchase one if that's what you choose to do.
And I think that's a heck of a tip, because believe it or not, I wasn't expecting the Rangers to get on there.
No, I didn't realize the Rangers got
And
on.
they bring a pilot boat along the side, so everybody's watching them get on
Yep.
and get off, which was pretty cool. And they spent, as you're going to Glacier Bay, they spent in the information.
Yeah.
And they also he goes on the bridge, and he puts it on the intercom, like in your room. So it was perfect for us to have a veranda because we were sitting there watching and listening at the same time. And I think they also have it on the TV.
Yeah,
if you went on the
different
TV.
venues. I think the atrium. I think they
In
were
your room,
playing.
too.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome. And also, just another tip:
What?
when you do get to Glacier Bay, I think they open up the bow of the ship.
Yep, I saw people out
So
there.
you're allowed to go to the bow of the ship during that time, which was a ship that size doing 360s right in the water. And he did it a few times. It was like, so, and also when he turned the ship around 360 degrees, he did a minimum of twice, which means everybody on each side of the ship got to see that glacier and take multiple pictures. And it was slow enough that you were getting a
Yeah,
good amount of time
he's not spinning
to
you
do
like
it.
a.
It was a sight to see. I
Yes.
can't even say enough. But
And that's
I
a
could
good
sit here
tip
and talk
too.
for an
That
hour.
yeah, that's a good tip that you could stay in your room,
Yes.
look at the views. You don't have to be in the crowds above. But if you happen to be, you don't have a. If you have an inside room, don't worry about it. They have, like I said, they have the observation
Yeah.
deck where you could be
Inside.
and watch inside.
Yeah, inside.
But that was very crowded. People
Very
were waiting
crowded.
there the night before. People were sitting there for the next day.
I got to tell you guys one thing. I don't think that's too nice of people to hoard all them seats and put their stuff on there.
Yeah, but they
I
do
don't
it,
think
so
that's
just be
nice.
prepared.
Because people, they go back to their staterooms, they put their stuff all over the chairs, and nobody, like if you're walking down, you just can't sit there and have a seat because all their stuff's on there. I mean, I just got to bring that to light because
Yeah,
I don't think that's a very good thing.
yeah, but
But
just be prepared for it because people are going to do it. And if
Yeah.
you have a veranda, don't worry about it. If you're not in a veranda and you're in the
Inside
inside
room.
room, don't worry about it because you could go on either side of the deck,
Yeah.
on the top, wherever you want to be, and you could still see the glacier.
Yeah.
The one that they stop at.
And here we
because
are
they
in
spin.
Florida,
Yeah.
and we don't think it was that cold. So, as far as another tip, that leads me into another tip. We overpacked, which I think most people do.
Mm-hmm.
You do not need to overthink it and overpack because if I had a chance to do it all over again, which we will,
Eventually, not anytime soon.
I think what we will do is we had to pay for parking. When you're getting up to the cruise terminal, it's chaotic. Okay?
We're not used to that sort of thing.
There's a lot of traffic. There's people directing. There's people stopping in the middle of the road. I just want to warn you guys ahead of time. But of course, I just darted into a spot. I
To a
got
parking
out,
spot.
and if I had a chance to do it all over again, I would not take as much luggage and as much clothes with me. And I think when you're packing, a lot of your heavy clothes is taking up a lot of space.
Yeah, that's for facts.
Okay, but this is what I would do for the next time. If I'm driving to Seattle, what I'd do is I'd pack less. I'd go to the parking garage directly across the street, almost directly.
Yeah, to
Like-
the Pier 66, I think it was.
I would go directly across the street, park, and then just wheel my luggage across the street into the port. And then right there is the gate. You just give them your luggage and they take it, and
And
voila,
that's it.
they'll be at your room. When you disembark, you could just walk right across the street, get in your car. I will say this, it's expensive to park,
Yeah, but it's always expensive at
but
piers.
it was convenient to do that close. So now that I know, I would never go in that traffic as far as trying to get in between buses, cars, taxis,
People getting dropped
Ubers, all that stuff. I would not even go and try to park close to the port terminal. I'd just park the car and bring my small amount of luggage with me and make it so much easier
Yeah,
when you go and disembark.
because we
For sure.
disembarked. You had the option, and we just took our luggage from our room. We took it ourselves.
Yeah.
To the parking garage. It was no big deal. We just
Yeah.
rolled it across the street. Luckily, he found a good spot on the bottom row of the parking garage. But that's
Yeah.
a tip: don't overpack.
Yeah, for sure. Just one real quick thing about a positive part. Speaking of getting on the ship, very efficient, Norwegian.
Very
Very efficient. as far as like crowded, it wasn't really. I think we got there early though.
We did get there early.
But they put you in a separate room after they check you in, and then they call you the board. But the process of going up to the counter and getting all your stuff in order was very simple. Not a lot of time. Very friendly staff as usual, and we just sat there until they were ready. We watched them loading up the ship with like crates and
Yeah, all
food
the,
and stuff, and then they call you, and it was very. Even though the rooms were packed, they were calling you in numbers, and you had the number to get on, and it was very,
very
organized.
Efficient. Yeah, very efficient.
That's the best way I could say it. So
Yep.
expect that when you go there. It's pretty painless situation to get on. So what's that?
Another tip is when you are buying stuff to go there, specifically on an Alaskan cruise, make sure that what you're buying is what it says. Now, I bought some waterproof gloves, and it is cold, and it could be very rainy. And in our case, it was both when we went on the Zodiac tour. Those gloves claimed that they were waterproof. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. Waterproof gloves. Our hands will be warm. They weren't. They wrung out. The guy that was with us, he said that his were supposedly waterproof gloves also, and they were just drenched, and it was cold. So make sure that I don't know what you have to do. Put a hose while you're still at home on them and make sure that they are waterproof.
Test before you go.
That's right. Or I don't know if you need to like wear plastic gloves under your gloves, whatever, to keep your hands.
I think them gloves were made by Bounty, because they were the greater picker upper when it comes to water.
Yeah,
believe me,
that's
my hands were just. I mean, I was just doing this, and so was the guy next to me doing this, and they would just ring out.
Yep. Another thing, the bags.
Wait,
same thing. What?
Before you go into that, though, you were talking about the Zodiac. Tell me about the shoes.
Yes. In the description, it said, when I read the description, it said that they would provide waterproof shoes or waterproof, like, coverings for something like that. So I really wasn't too worried about the shoes. But guess what? We got there, and the gentleman that was doing the tour, he had never heard of such a thing.
Never.
The other guy that was with us also read it. He's the one that questioned him. We didn't say anything because I was like, well, where are the shoes? Like, where are the, like, boots or whatever? But we didn't say anything. But the other guy said something. And the guy doing the tour, he's like, I don't know anything about that. And we're like, so I told the guy, so he didn't think he was crazy. I said, I read the same thing, that in the description of the Zodiac, that they would provide shoes or coverings or something. But guess what? They don't. So if you don't like wet feet, make sure your shoes are waterproof or you take something.
Listen, let's just be honest, okay? Let's just be honest.
What?
They
can take galoshes.
But listen, we had our rain gear on that we bought, completely rain geared out. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
And what that tour guide told us is, even though you have your rain gear, you need to put his on top of, because
when we
went on the Zodiac, the weather was like, it was rainy.
Crummy.
It was really bad. I mean, we got lucky with weather. Overall, with the Alaskan cruise, we got lucky with weather. Except for that one day with the Zodiac tour, which, believe me, it did not bother us not one bit. We still had a great time.
But it was cold.
It was cold, and when you're driving and that rain's hitting you in the face, it feels like pins and needles. Everybody else got their heads down, but
because you're driving,
and because you do speed up. He makes it fun. You do speed up, and then you slow down, and you talk about a little bit of history. You talk about how you're like 800 feet deep water where you're at, and totem poles and eagles, and it's a fun experience. But even though with 2 layers of waterproof rain gear, I mean, I felt like I was
like the kid from Christmas Story.
Ralphie. Yeah, Ralphie's brother. Yeah, brother. Yeah. I can't put my arms down. The same thing.
Yeah, we were pretty covered.
We were packed. We were still soaked.
Yep.
We still got. I mean, it was because it was running down your neck, and it was unbelievable.
Going in your pants somehow. I don't know how that happened, but my butt was wet.
That's what the guy was saying. He goes, he can't believe how wet he got on the. But
It was fun, but just be prepared.
It was. And then another tip about the Zodiac. Okay, will we do it again? Probably not. One time was pretty
Yeah, that
pretty
was good.
good.
It was good.
It was good, but you might if you got to what they were trying to do is they were trying to pair you up
They were
with
trying to fill the boats.
the least amount of boats for the amount of people that they
Correct.
had. That's what they wanted to do. In other words, instead of the guy with us going in his own boat, because it does say you drive, right? It does say you drive the Zodiac, which
Yeah.
I did all the driving. And of course, the guy next to me, he wanted to drive a little bit. Okay, so they paired us up with a guy that we already knew right out of the gate just by his driving, had no boating experience whatsoever. Now we're from Florida, so
We've had boats.
many boats. So it's boating's we pretty much know the ins and outs of how to run it and what we're doing. And this guy was just lagging behind the boats out. He was trying to keep the boat in front of us was keeping up with our tour guide,
Yeah.
but he wasn't. And then he was taking on these swells and these waves, and big tidal waves were coming up over the Zodiac because he was the slower you go and the bigger swells, it's gonna dip down and it
Sierra was getting it.
she was laughing the whole time. She
Yeah.
had a great time doing it, but it was the guy had to keep up. So just to keep in mind, if you're going to do a Zodiac tour, if you don't have an even number of
If you
people,
don't have 4 people.
they might end up doing another person if it's single, because there's a lot of single people who go
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do it. So you might get put on with somebody that don't know the first thing about a boat or how to
driving
drive it or anything like that. And it's kind of scary when when you got somebody else in control of something that don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? But we had a good time. It was funny.
Yeah, every time we
that
hit a
being
swell,
said,
we
it
would
was
laugh
funny.
because the water would come up.
It
and
was
we'd-
ridiculous because we were so wet and cold but it was just funny. It was just,
Yeah.
we had a good time. It don't matter for us if it's raining or anything. We had a great time
Yep.
on doing it. So
This is
if you want to
true.
do it, do it.
If you are going to go on any kind of excursion or anything outside, and that for that fact, if you don't have a waterproof bag, make sure you bring like a Ziploc or something to put your camera batteries in, or like we took the GoPro when we went on the Zodiac because I didn't want to risk taking the G7X.
Right.
So we did take the Zodiac. We did take the GoPro, and that's waterproof,
Mhm.
but the batteries are not waterproof. So had I known that my bag was not waterproof, which that's another thing I
Mhm.
thought was waterproof, the batteries did get wet. I was able to dry them. They didn't get soaked because I had them inside in the middle. They were damp. But just make sure you take like Ziplocs or something to put your electronics or anything that you don't want to get wet
Yeah.
inside to keep it safe.
Yeah. And that includes your cell phones, any electronics you have.
Yeah.
And also, if you're going to do an Alaskan cruise, you got to make sure you're prepared that you have a backup camera for water conditions, because you might get into some bad weather or rain or something like that. We're going to film anyway, regardless, but we can't take stuff that is not waterproof in
And that
to
kind of
that
torrential.
kind of condition.
Yeah.
So have a place to put your backup camera if you're taking a camera or something like that in a Ziploc, and make sure you double it up or whatever. Because it was hard for me to believe how wet we got with double layer of everything that we had. The only thing I could tell you is it was just hitting us in the face, and it was running down our neck and eventually just soaking up through the whole body. So, but still a good time. It
Yeah,
doesn't
still
matter.
fun. Something else I want to mention, make sure you bring a highlighter because they give you these freestyle dailies. So you get these the day before for the following day. And what I like to do was to go through it, and if there was something like the origami hat making thing, I wanted to make sure we didn't miss it. So I just took my yellow highlighter. I highlighted everything that I thought we might want to do the next day so that we wouldn't forget.
It's always good to have the paper version. I know you could probably do it on the app.
Yeah, but there's so
you
much.
can't do the activities on the map, but if you look at this,
Yeah, there's
here,
so much to do.
It's better to just have the paper for us so we can highlight it.
Yeah, so I like
just be
highlighting it.
organized.
So take a highlighter. Also, on that note, if you have little kids, maybe bring like a 4-pack or like a little Ziploc with a few crayons and a coloring book for them. Because if it's rough weather or you
Yeah.
want to go back to the room and relax, the kids aren't like going crazy bored because there isn't a lot on the TV, so that they can color and keep themselves busy, a word search, whatever.
Yeah.
You might just want to take a little, not too much, like a little miniature coloring book or word search or something for the kids to stay busy in the room if you want to go back to the room and rest.
Bring binoculars. Good ones.
Yep.
Because if you're taking this as a bucket list trip, once in a lifetime, maybe twice in a lifetime, whatever, you definitely want to bring binoculars because we've seen humpback whales. We've seen breaches.
Oh yeah, we did.
We
see
did
a breach.
see
Yeah,
breaches.
Yeah, we saw a breach.
And we've seen seals.
Yep. Otters.
Seemed to me like hundreds of waterfalls.
Yes.
I'm not kidding you. It was just there's no shortage of sights. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat.
So bring
That's
binoculars.
why if you can I mean, we've been saving up for this for a long time because it was kind of like like a 25th anniversary type of thing for us. We don't normally do things for anniversary, but we saved up a while to be able to do this. And let me tell you, when we wanted to do it, we definitely had no ifs and buts. Had to be a veranda if we were going to do it.
Yeah.
And if you can, that's the way to go when you're seeing this much sights. Because the day too, when you go out there, you're in open ocean, but there's a lot of times where you're in a channel.
Yeah.
And there's things to see everywhere, and it's just bring binoculars. That's the tip. Okay.
And some people had them, some people don't. I thought it was helpful to bring a lanyard with a little holder, a little plastic holder for our room cards. And you use that card for everything, to charge anything, any souvenirs, any chocolate, anything you want to buy, Bonine.
Anything it's extra.
Anything. You have to use your room card. They do not take cash on board.
Yeah.
So at the end of the cruise, we had a $6 charge. That was total.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was for a magnet that I bought. And they just took that out of the excursion money that, that was canceled.
Where was the place that we went Zodiac in again?
That was Ketchikan.
Okay. Wait until you get there to do shopping.
Yes.
They had some of the best deals. I wish I would have got stuff, to be honest with you. I wish I would have got
we didn't buy anything.
more things. Sierra bought a couple mugs, I think, or something
and
like that.
She got a
I
patch.
bought me a Mountain Dew. And
yeah, he did get a Mountain Dew there.
They do have drinks there and like a little cafe there, but the prices weren't bad.
No, the prices
for
were
jackets,
really good.
Sweaters, and it's also the building. It's the same building where you go in for all the excursions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all the excursions are in that building. That's where they leave from, and they got signs and telling you what they are. Matter of fact, our Zodiac almost canceled.
Yes, because of the weather.
Very close to being canceled because a lot of people, believe it or not, didn't show up.
8 people. There's supposed to be, I forgot how many, 16 or something. I mentioned it in the video, but we ended up with not very many people.
But you see, we're tough. We're adventurers. We just do things because the things that we've done on this trip, including, which we'll go over, like the Rocky Mountains, that's a story all in itself because that was our first kind of adventure as far as hiking goes. And we'll get into that. If you want to hear that story, leave it in the comments below. But that was a story.
Another factor for going on the Zodiac is if they move on and you're the one that decides not to go, you don't get a refund.
That's right.
So if you're not getting...
They got to cancel it.
That's right. And they did not. So since they did not, we did not. And
I think the tour guy wanted to cancel it, but the owners said go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were discussing it back and forth if they're going to cancel it, if they're not. And we're like, well, if they don't cancel it, we're going to go.
Going, for sure.
Because I'm
100%.
not losing my money if it's, if they're going to do something, might as well go for it.
And you know what? We did all of our excursions through the cruise line. We think it's easier because they kind of like funnel you. For instance, when we went whale watching, okay, they pretty much funnel you to the buses.
Yeah.
Even though you got all these extra people that are doing whale watching, they got these little
And a lot of people do it.
A lot of people
cheaper.
do it. You could do it. It is cheaper. It is, but you have the security of them getting you there, and them not leaving you back there.
Yeah, I don't want to be left somewhere.
And you know, and they know where they're going. And by the way, the bus tour that we had going whale watching, we never even discussed that. Was like that bus. How can you be in a cold place and
It
be
was
so
hot.
freaking hot?
It was hot. It was so
They
hot
didn't leave
in
it
that
running.
bus.
They didn't have the air on.
They didn't have,
They didn't
the,
have
windows
the windows
down.
open. It was like I was like, I get claustrophobic about that type of stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh. But as far as like information, the way he was talking
Yes.
on the bus, he kept you entertained. He was funny. And as you're going through the town to even get to these boats to go to watch the whales, I thought that was
Yeah, he gave us a lot of information.
there was still sight.
Another thing to note is if you are at the buffet, speaking, we already spoke about the buffet, but I just remembered this. Do not, under any circumstances, leave your stuff at the table and walk away to go get a drink. Someone stay at the table because
Yes.
it happened several times and we saw it. Everybody got up out of the table. Well, so like let's say they went, got their food, brought it back. Then they all went to go get drinks. They got back and their food was gone.
Yep.
Because they are so quick about cleaning
Yep.
off the tables. Just make sure someone is always at the table with your food or your drinks. Don't leave your table unattended at any time or your stuff
Yeah.
might just disappear.
Now, don't get me wrong. They'll wait a few to see if you come back, because some people had wine and, you know what I mean. Like, I'm sure they were on the drink package, but I'm just saying that it
Yeah.
looked like they were still there. But Jolly and I knew that they were already gone, because
We were sitting right next to them. They had eaten and
they were done. They're
they
like,
walked-
oh, let's head up to the top deck or something like that. Not like we were eavesdropping, but we just heard them.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like, we've also heard people get nasty with the staff when they come back and their stuff's gone.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt bad because it's like, just
How-
save somebody.
Yeah, they didn't
Please.
know. How would they know that you're still there if everybody's gone from the
Yeah,
table?
but you can't get mad because they're probably told, keep the place clean, keep the dishes. They would ask politely if we're done. Are you done with your dish? Are you done with your
Yeah.
dish? But believe me, they kept coming and coming. They kept your area.
They watched. If someone walked
Ver-
away,
Yeah, because
they
the
just
seating.
cleaned it off.
If the seating's, it gets packed. Sometimes people are just roaming around trying to find a seat. Okay, I would first, if you have like more than one person, have the person, even especially during peak time, go try to track down a seat somewhere.
Yeah, and then one
It's
person
kinda
sits
hard.
there, and then you just trade off. Yeah, we saw a
And-
few people that got up. They started eating or whatever, and then they got up to go do whatever, get a
Yep.
drink, and then they come back with a drink or ice cream or
Yeah, remember
dessert, and it was gone. Their stuff was gone.
You don't just lose your food; you lose your seat.
Yeah, you lose your place because they
Everything.
clean it, and then somebody else is sitting there, and you're like, well, what the heck happened to my stuff? Well, they
So-
cleaned it, and you lost your spot.
Yeah, so just be aware.
I want to mention one thing that we forgot to mention. On your TV where you could check your account, make sure you check it because Scott was checking it, and we got charged for a case of water.
Oh yes, that's
We
correct.
got charged for a case of water, and Scott's like, wait a minute, why do we didn't buy anything. We
Yeah.
didn't buy any sodas on board. We didn't, just a magnet, which
Mhm.
was $6.
Yep.
So we didn't buy anything. So it was pretty easy for us to see. Now, if we were getting drinks,
Yes.
like alcohol or sodas, it would be hard to keep track of
Mhm.
because then you can't remember really. Maybe you wouldn't remember, oh, did I buy that? Did I buy this?
Well, I'm sure if you guys booked cruises like this, I'm sure you heard stories about check your billing. You never know what's added or whatever. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
So I would definitely check everything before
Yes,
you left.
because he checked and on one of the nights and they charged us for a case of water because they do sell
Yeah.
cases of water. And we just went down to the front desk and said, listen, we haven't purchased anything. We shouldn't have any charges on our room. And just by the next morning, it was off.
Yeah.
Because they had to check,
they
verify
had
the
to check,
signature, I guess, of
Yes.
whoever signed that they wanted the water or whatever. I don't know how they did it. But
Listen,
they
when you-
verified it.
when you're sitting like at places like Choir Man and any kind of entertainment like that, you do have people walking around. If you want a drink, they'll come and get it for
Yeah.
you. They just take their room card, and sometimes I didn't see any signature on that. They just do a room card. But they were going to investigate it to see who used their card, where did they use it at, how did they order it,
Did
what,
they
and
just
everything.
say the room number? Did somebody like flip flop the numbers?
They
when
don't
were
just
putting-
give it to you right then and there. They
Yeah.
actually go look and see where the transaction was being made at. So just something, that was a great tip on that.
Yeah, just make sure
first.
you constantly check your room account on the TV or whatever way you want to check it, because you don't want to get charged for something that you didn't use. Something I wish I would have known is that they had a 70s and 80s party on board. They had 2 different nights as well as a glow party. I knew about the glow party, so I took white to wear to glow. But 70s and 80s could have taken something simple just to dress up for the
Yeah.
70s and 80s party.
Yeah, the night before disembarkment.
When we were at British Columbia.
We were at, when we came back to the ship, they had this DJ in the nightclub we went to.
It was the disembarkation party or something. The
That's
last
what it was
night party.
described as. It was a disembarkment party.
Yeah, like a big blowout, like the
It was
last
like
night
everybody's
of the
invited,
cruise.
right?
Last night of the cruise.
Yeah, you're all invited. Me and Jolly walk in. They have 0 people in there. Just the DJ.
That's the one I was dancing by myself on the dance floor, because I think everybody was in British Columbia, and then they were coming back on board, and then they were getting ready to disembark the next day. So
Yeah, they stopped by, a handful of people stopped by,
and looked in.
and they looked in or even stood maybe a minute or two, and they walked right back out. So that was kind of like, that falls back onto the entertainment again type of thing. But
Yeah, but they can't help. I don't know if that was too great. I mean, the music was good. I like dancing,
yeah,
but it was definitely, there were like 4 people that sat there for a little bit, for an hour or two.
I don't
maybe
even
an
think the bar
hour.
was open.
No, the bar wasn't open. No, because they couldn't have the bars
Oh,
open.
that's right. That's right.
While they were-
the bars were closed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
While they were at port.
Yeah. So for final thoughts, will we go back on an Alaskan cruise?
The Norwegian Encore.
Absolutely, yes.
Yep.
I think the people, down to the cooks, okay, the people that were even welcoming you on the ship, welcoming you at the buffet,
Yep.
washi.
Washy washy.
We got a song and a dance every time we went in there.
Guy with the ukulele.
The guy's cooking the omelets in the morning. What can I do for you? Every morning with a smile. I don't know how these people do it. Every single day for as long as their contract is, they have a smile on their face, and they take care of you 100%.
Yep.
I'm going to
friendly.
tell you that, of course, we've been on other cruise lines, and this is right up there as far as with
the service.
the service. The service, I cannot complain not one bit about. As far as the ship itself, beautiful. Would I go as far as going out of their way to make sure you have a good experience as far as seeing the glacier up close and
Spinning the ship around.
and doing all that stuff? Top notch. Loved it. Would I go back? Absolutely. That's my deal. Also wanted to say, because I got written down here, weather, it doesn't matter to us. We had a great time with that. I think we only ran into rain the Zodiac time. I think
Yep.
the whales were, when we went to go see the whales, it was beautiful weather. Perfect. 0 clouds, no rain, sunny.
It was beautiful.
Just absolute beautiful. You're rolling the dice when you go there. And of course, the time that we went, obviously the weather starts getting, worse
September.
during that time. But I love it during that time. I would definitely go back again during that time. No problem. No. But we would also do different things. I'm definitely going to get back to the train.
Yeah, we want to do the
Got to
train.
do that. Now the question is, do we want to take the RV and drive it? Which takes a long time to do one of these trips. You got to plan for us way in the future to do it. It's a lot for Jolly, for
A
her
year
to
in
plan,
the making.
for her to plan all this stuff out, and we paid gradually, by the way, with the cruise too. We
Yeah.
kind of like paid gradually, so as we were working. But with the weather, we're just happy people in general. We're just thankful that we were even there to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to do it. And we're also thankful for you guys to watch and hitting that thumbs up would be greatly appreciated for us. But will we go back? The short answer is absolutely. The difference between taking that cruise and driving, you would be able to do Denali maybe and
Yeah.
spend more time. You'd be able to spend more time in a beautiful place that almost probably you ever seen, because it was just absolute beautiful, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that's going to do it. If you guys got any questions, please leave them down in the comments. We'd be more than happy to help you out
If we
the
can.
best we can
Yeah.
for you guys to enjoy your Alaskan cruise. And we really hope that you guys are able to be able to experience something like that as we were. We were grateful. And
It was wonderful. Do it again in a minute.
in a second, I would go right this second.
And I would
to go to
also
it, so.
skip the free drink package
Yes.
in a second because it was no loss to us.
But you know what you're not going to skip?
A smile?
That. But you're not going to skip hitting that thumbs up for us. So
Go
our
out.
video gets out there to more people. And definitely you're not going to skip the smile.
That's right.
Because there on this channel, unlike the drink package, is
Completely
always free.
free.
Have a good one, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.